have some pretty good ideas of why. Like many victims of abuse, we ride a roller coaster, and things along the way of that roller coaster jump out and scare you, right? They are, if you're actually on an amusement park's roller coaster or a ride, right, it's going down and then poof, this dinosaur comes out and scares you. And I think that's very much the way the ride of a roller coaster when you've been abused, it's similar to that. A trigger is something that happens, and it could be a smell or an action or someone stalking you. It could be something that you've heard. It could be a date or a time or some meaningful part of history that takes you back and makes you experience it. And I know that there's ways that we can avoid this. I know that there's ways that we can change ourselves. And I think for the last year, I have been pretty darn good on not riding the roller coaster down. But for us, every single time we go up, we have to remember that there's going to be a dip. And each time there's a dip, it's going to get less and less and less, because we are learning and we are empowering ourselves. So I have this great big piece of paper back here. And I'm gonna try to write some things down, because tonight marks an anniversary. Tonight, almost to this hour, and that was not intentional, was me being booked into jail by my narcissist. And I experienced such shock and hurt and betrayal and anger. Like, how could this possibly be happening? A man that I had been with for 2.5 years, who loved me and slept next to me, had sent me to jail, as far as I could see, for nothing that I had done. A man that I took care of his child. I loaned him money. I paid for things when he couldn't. I was there for him. And clearly, he was not there for me. This actually was, while the worst day of my life, it has been an education of a lifetime. And I have to give myself credit, because it's so easy for me to take it away from myself. But I have to give myself credit to the fact that it's been 1 year today since the arrest. Tomorrow morning I will have been getting out of jail. Actually, by tomorrow night, I will have been getting out of jail. And one friend said, he's gaslighting you. One friend said, look that up. And it led me to an entire year of almost a dual life. My regular life, my regular job, my business, and this need to learn more. This hunger, I will call it, to educate myself, to teach what I have learned to others. And I have said on my videos, I am not a therapist. I am a marketer and a web designer. I just felt that because of my, you say, not being shy around a camera, being in marketing, I speak on stages all the time, and I felt like I had a voice. While most of my Twitter followers in those days are marketing people following me, and all my social media platforms are pretty much littered with marketing people that are my friends, I've opened up my entire social media, and I rarely, unless I'm at an event, I rarely post anything that isn't targeted and to help the community of recovering people from narcissist, sociopath, and psychopathic abuse. Emotional abuse is such a really big topic, and while we always take into account, and what I have learned over this year is we take into account, those three genres of people, categories, if you will, that could certainly have been emotionally abused. There are so many other people that have been emotionally abused and the line got crossed and they've gotten beaten and they've gotten killed. And I just don't think that anyone's hearing our voice or hearing the voice. I'm putting my voice out there now to add to the fun, to teach people what I've learned. And I've done it as well as I would run my own business, right? And I'm proud of that. My life has truly changed. I used to go out 5 nights a week, going to networking events and all kinds of different activities, meetup groups twice a week. And I was really busy. And I'm learning to self-love. I'm learning that Friday and Saturday nights are just so nice to relax and sit on the couch on a Saturday and read. These are things that I didn't understand how to do before all of this happened and my world collapsed on top of me. So now I'm going to use my little piece of paper, or big paper. I love big paper. Okay, so we are going to make a list, and I'm doing this as an exercise that I am going to encourage you to do for yourself in your recovery, because that roller coaster that we ride has ups and downs. Can you guys see that? It's a little bright over here. I might have to change the light. Let me move this over. Hold on. How's that? That's better, right? Okay. So the roller coaster that we're on of recovery is filled with good things and they're filled with bad things. And there are bad things that led us there. But what we have to do is we have to look at the small steps, the baby steps, where we've come, what we've learned. We can't just fix this in 1 year. We can't just fix a lifetime of fuck-uppery. That was a good word. We can't just make this all go away, but we can take steps to go uphill and to change tomorrow. So I want to make a list, and the first thing I want to put down is what really good things came out of this. And I would have to say for me, it was an awareness. I never knew about my own childhood. I never knew about my past. I think that what came out of this was such an education for not only what I have been through, but what so many people have been through and how big this epidemic is. I want to put down on here that friendship, putting friendship down here, because as many of you know, Lizelle was my ex-narc's new supply. That wasn't really new, but anyway, we are really good friends. We're like sisters now. And without him and what happened to me, we would have never met. We would have probably never ever met. She's in Australia. So if I look at that friendship and how that has grown and how that has really changed my life. And I think both of us have changed each other's lives for better. So that friendship is a really big step. And understanding all of this is what the good things are. You know what? I learned how to figure out when people are doing shitty things, right? So I'm just gonna write shitty things. I know how. I didn't know before. I can now identify someone that does narcissistic things like that. I could be like the Spidey, like radar for narcissistic comments and people acting in ways that I wouldn't have seen before. So I have a really good shitty thing-ometer. I've learned to self-care, right? That's important. While I thought getting my nails done and looking good every day was self-care, and I do believe it is, especially if you're not doing that. But what I've learned about self-care is to put myself first and to stop caring for others more than they should be. I have really changed my friendship pool to look at some people differently and decide that they don't have to be there. And I'm learning to be okay with that. That was a hard thing for a codependent person to let people go. Over on this side, I'm just gonna list some things that, again, it's a kudos board to me. What have you done? This is what I've learned. What have I done? And your list could be as simple as you got out of bed before 10 o'clock every morning. You were able to take your kids to school. No matter what it was, these small accomplishments. I'm a big list maker, and sometimes I put on my list like empty dishwasher, and I already did it, and then I can cross it off. So if we look at this side of the board, I'm going to say that I educated myself. I know education's here, but I'm going to say educated here. Me. Then I started making YouTubes. Then I started a meetup here in Colorado. Then I started a support group on Facebook. I think we're up to 650 members. So Facebook support. Then, let's see, I made a website, narcissistabusesupport.com. This has so many resources on it for victims of every kind of abuse. So we're going to say website. And I do Twitter. I do Instagram. And the best one, the most fun for me, is Pinterest. Love Pinterest. Pinterest with narcissist abuse quotes. Are you kidding me? I love these things. And I have a board. If you're not following me, go follow me because it's really fun. And I even have a board that others can contribute to. So if you're one of those people that just likes to look for them, but you don't really need them on your wall, like, hey, you want to mark them? You can pin them to my wall of this special board. That's a community board. And right now, my Pinterest board lights up at over 120,000 impressions and 6,500 visitors a day. That's epic. And I'm not saying it's epic because of me. I'm saying it's epic because this is an epidemic of crazy ass people that we are dealing with. I've also joined, and I am on a panel, which is a survivor caucus for the Colorado Coalition Against Domestic Violence. So we're just going to say the domestic violence team, and they changed laws. And I am so honored to be on this committee and work with and learn about these amazing people who have survived so far worse than our narcissist abuse. I'm not saying we weren't hurt, and I'm not saying we aren't, but when you're raped and beaten, it's just unbelievable, right? Okay, so we're working with the domestic violence people, and the last thing that I'm doing is I'm working with my friend Joyce Short. And Joyce wrote a book on romance scams, and I am helping her change the laws here in Colorado so that perpetrators that use romance scams to get money from people, to have sex with them, to manipulate them, to marry them and take their money. These are professional con men, and many of them, yes, are narcissists. So I'm working with her, and she might be on Dr. Phil. So I'm hoping that they decide to use her and get to bring me in there, because we just need to raise awareness. And what better way than having Dr. Phil talk about this, so that people like you, in whatever state you're in, can join hands with us and change the law in your state. Right now, only 4 states have this law, and that is why the narcissistic community of psychopaths is growing. If I look at the year that I have had, the things that I have learned, and the growth and the changes in my life, I can say to myself, that's okay, you did good. And give myself a break on other things that took a second seat. I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with me. And I think we all need to learn, and that we'll be here, and to expect the roller coaster. This month has been a really bad roller coaster for me. But I'm coming back out, and I'm gonna make a lot more movies, so watch out. If you like my videos, please subscribe, and if you don't, but subscribe, leave me a comment, join my Facebook group, go to my website, Narcissist Abuse Support, if you're looking for support in your area. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, anywhere you want to be a part of my world. And we can all support each other. This is Tracy, and that is all I got. Thank you. What? You're still recording?